let's take a couple of moments here in the early stages of our chat and just juxtapose Ring CX and RingSense. And my knowledge of the technologies as we compare them is that Ring CX is the contact center. It's the ACD, it's the Omnichannel, it's the integration into Salesforce or Dynamics. It's an analytics platform in and of itself. So it's got great reporting capabilities and APIs. But RingSense, in terms of like the contact center world, is really the quality management technology that has conversational AI and a lot more. Is that fair to assess it that way?
Yeah, that's a good way to categorize or differentiate the two. And I think the key is conversational intelligence is what we're calling it, which is using AI to extract information about the conversations recorded, either in the sales process or during customer service type of interactions.
So why are they separate? Like, why would you have one product? Why wouldn't they just all be combined into one product?
Well, RingSense is a new core technology platform that we recently introduced, and we're actually delivering it in different ways. One is tailored specifically for sales teams and sales motion, and the other one is designed specifically to deal with or handle interactions that a customer service representative in a contact center would be working with. Now, sometimes salespeople are working in a call center where they're doing like an outbound dialing campaign. So those types of activities would also be tied to potentially Ring CX. But again, the AI model used to extract information and provide insights is different. It's a different AI model.
So that conversational intelligence, it can not only look into Ring CX, but can you point it at other technologies as well?
Yeah, we've designed it so that we can pull recordings from RingCentral UC platform, the RingCentral video platform, as well as RingCentral Contact Center, which is our OEM relationship with NICE, and as well as Ring CX.
Yeah, that's powerful. Probably is the differentiation in terms of why they're separated, in terms of you might buy one ahead of the other.
Yeah, so RingSense is a complementary technology to deploying your contact center solution. And the idea is that if you want to leverage AI and improve the team performance, RingSense is a great add-on to either of our contact center solution products.
So one of the things that is interesting to me is the fact that you've got this additional juxtaposition, right? We talked about Ring CX versus RingSense, and maybe the next juxtaposition is looking at sales and customer support. And I mean, those two particular departments are typically run by different people. And like I said in a little preamble here, that they have their own budgets and sometimes will purchase different technology. But I think of the user story that kind of looks like this, that the sales team, there's a real deep desire to know like what these conversations containing, the conversations with prospects and maybe with existing customers where they're doing upsell. They really want to know the sentiment. They want to know the completeness of these conversations, and they want to have some of that data influence how they're looking at the pipeline. So traditionally in the service department, you might have a contact center solution that's plugged up into, we'll just say, Salesforce Service Cloud. And then maybe the sales department has some of their technology, communications technology. They may have a UC technology plugged into their Salesforce. And then they may also have separately Zoom video calls with Gong IO. And so you've got all these components coming together. It seems to me that with RingSense and with Ring CX, you can collapse all that down into one platform.
Yeah, so we've designed RingSense to be a technology that adds on to both our UC, our video, as well as our contact center solutions. So even though the models may be different based on the use case, the platform at the core is the same. The user interface is the same. A lot of the analytics and tools that the managers and supervisors would be interacting with are familiar. So regardless whether I'm in sales or in support, the UI is the same. The analytics and the core information that I can extract is the same. So from a implementation perspective, user training is easier and simplified. It's consistent across the different use cases, right, as well as, again, tying all the different communication platforms in your business from RingCentral.
So let's take a user story maybe. They're actually really similar between sales and service. And that is a consumer, a prospect or an existing customer goes to a web page. They're reviewing content on the web page. They see that there is a chat capability there. They start a chat conversation and then they elevate that into a video call. So that could happen across sales and across service. And then in that call, you've jumped between two channels. You want to be able to look at the dynamics of that conversation between the two. Is RingSense going to track that in that engagement in RingCX?
Currently, RingSense is looking at voice conversations.
Mm-hmm.
We are working and will be delivering the ability to track digital interactions. So we'll be able to now correlate data from the digital as well as the voice interactions, regardless of the, how the customer starts interacting with the agent.
I see. And that's part of a product path that you're working on at the moment.
Yeah, RingSense right now is in controlled release. We're expecting to go general availability sometime in the first quarter of next year.
Okay.
We actually are pushing it out a little bit because we've got some more work to do to address some of the feedback we've been getting from our early customers running it in beta and in controlled release.
Okay, so let's talk specifically about RingSense for sales. And maybe you can describe the user story, describe the componentry, how it's configured differently than how we're going to look at it in RingSense for service.
Well, the configuration is fairly consistent, but the user story, or at least look at who are the consumers or users of RingSense as a platform. From a sales perspective, you look at how a sales team is enabled, right? You've got people who are coming into the organization. They're trained in the methodology the company wants to utilize for their sales motion. So one of the things that RingSense provide is the ability for you to implement what we call trackers, which are the AI looking for certain things to be done in the different sales process and different steps within the sales cycle. So I'm going to look at, like, for example, one of the common ones is a acronym called BANT, Budget, Authority, Needs, and Timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things that you're training your agents or your sales reps to start asking questions about. Do you have budget? What does that budget look like? Do you have the authority to make decisions? If not, who are those people? What are your current requirements or needs? Do you have an impending event? Let's say a legacy platform is going end of life and I need to make a replacement. What's that timeline? Again, tied to what the need is. So this is what agents should be following this process. So now we have the ability as a administrator to configure trackers to look for that type of thing. As opposed to if you're looking at customer service, there may be certain things that you want to make sure that when somebody calls in and they're having an issue, how do you address that? How do you acknowledge the fact that you empathize with that customer's frustration potentially? How do you make sure that you're asking if you've resolved their problem? So there's certain things that you want in a customer service motion. So going back to the sales, so we now have the ability for us to configure, for the administrator to configure, what are we tracking in terms of what's being said during all these different sales motions. Mm-hmm. Then we look at the manager or the supervisor who now has to look at how is the team performing. Everybody's got a quota and everybody is measured against that number, but then how effective are they at the sales opportunities that they're given to close those deals? What are things they're doing well? What things they need additional coaching on? So one of the examples I usually give is, let's say, for example, I'm training people on a certain set of methodology. And then as I'm tracking with RingSense all the different sales activity around an opportunity and then looking across multiple opportunities, I'm looking at the win-loss. And then I correlate that to what the AI is extracting across the different conversations for that opportunity. And then I look at, okay, are there certain teams or individuals performing at a higher level than others? Their close rate's higher. So why is their close rate higher? Are they following the sales methodology that we trained them on? And people are not performing well or deviating from that? Or are the people who are not doing as well following the sales process, but not having as much success as the people who are performing at a top level, but they're doing something different? What is that thing that they're doing different? And how can we incorporate that into our training and coaching for improving the sales team? So it provides a feedback loop for the sales enablement folks. It provides tools for the managers to see, who are my better performers and why.
Hmm.
Because again, if quota is the only metric to determine whether a sales rep is doing well, you don't know why they're not hitting their quotas. And obviously replacing employees, whether it's a salesperson or a customer service rep, it's expensive, right? You got to take time to get them source candidates, get them onboarded, train them, and how long is the ramp to be productive. So if you can shorten that ramp time when you do bring new people on, or keep people who are underperforming from leaving because they're frustrated, they're not getting the right feedback and coaching to hit those numbers.
Hmm.
Again, it provides a lot of ways to make sure that the team you have is doing as best that they can. And then in some cases, you're also looking at, is my methodology even correct for how I'm closing and winning business?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I would imagine also in combination with that, Ring CX and the knowledge-based componentry and the agent assist capability there kind of works hand in hand with this. So RingSense is doing a post-interaction assessment and providing AI to deliver a proper summary of that particular interaction.
If you look at the analytics that RingSense provides, that requires a huge amount of processing power, and it does require time. So you can do things in real time, but it's limited in terms of the things that it's looking for, how it can look at. Let's say, for example, sentiment analysis. A lot of times it's word choice to determine sentiment. You associate certain words or terms to be negative and certain terms to be positive. But RingSense goes a little deeper. It actually looks at tone of voice and other characteristics of the actual speaker to determine what's going on. Because I can say a word that in some contexts is positive, but if you actually listen to the tone of voice, it actually comes out as very negative. Sarcasm, you can't tell if somebody's being sarcastic by just looking at the words. So that's where RingSense plays a role into providing that post interaction to say, is the guidance I'm providing in real time, really giving you the improvement that you're looking for from the individual contributors.
British humorists must like flip this upside down.